Even with several bright spots in Auburn's first fall scrimmage, Golesh still says there's a lot of work to do. I love it.
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off. And you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie Five.
Yes, sir. We're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Rush, a.k.a. Charlie Five, and we are ready to get after it. We're going to be talking about the scrimmage today from a big picture, little picture standpoint. Coaches got to be both. They got to look at it both ways. We're going to talk about tackling more. Is Auburn about to have a little bit more full contact going on? At least Golesh seemed to mention that. And then young wide receivers on the clock. We're going to talk about that as well. Let's jump right in, though. Look, when you're a coach, you can't be one or the other. You can't be a big picture guy and you can't be a little picture guy, small picture guy, whatever you want to call it. You got to be both. You can't focus on one or the other. You got to be able to be both. And what I mean by that is from a big picture standpoint, particularly on offense after this scrimmage this past Friday, from a big picture standpoint, you have to be able to see Friday as a big win for the offense. Guys, they couldn't get many first downs in spring. Like it was not a great spring for the offense, and then it bled over into the spring game, at least from the ones versus the ones. Had turnovers, had fumbles, had several different issues that it was kind of a mess. It was really trying to slam a bunch of things together, and it didn't feel like there was a ton of progress. Ton of progress is the wrong word. It just felt, I think most people left, and you're like, man, the offense has really got to get it together. Offensive line's really got to get it together. That just wasn't good. And then you fast forward to now, and with those same question marks and things that are going on, or things that went on, you go out there and you make some big plays. No, you didn't walk up and down the field on the defense, and that's not to be expected. You didn't just score a billion points, but you know what you did? You went out there and you made some big plays. You had a big touchdown run from your quarterback on like the third or fourth play of the scrimmage. You had some big plays to your wide receivers, Jeremiah Coger getting some separation, Keyshawn Singleton being physical, Jeremiah Cobb breaking a really long touchdown run. From a big picture standpoint, you got to view that as a huge win. But you can't only focus on the big picture. Because the big picture wasn't that bad from the team last year. It was this little picture, the small things that what cost you. And what I loved is he acknowledged both in the press conference. But he led to me with the small picture, talking about, he led with, we didn't look like a veteran team. We're sloppy. And so on and so forth. You know, Auburn had talked about all offseason, or we have talked all offseason about how this team has continuity, has experience, veteran players that have played together in important spots. And then Golesh right off the bat, hey, we didn't play like that. We didn't play like a veteran team. You know, we played, 115 plays. We did backup situations, short yardage, overtime, red zone, third downs, crowd noise, even TV timeouts, doing everything you could to simulate a game and trying to test if they could actually operate as a veteran team. And it didn't really feel that way. He says there were bright spots, but there was also some pre-snap stuff. Daggum. There was also some pre-snap stuff. That's actually kind of tough to say. That is not how you function offensively. And that'll kind of make, Auburn fans a little bit of hair stand up on the back of your neck, because it's like, oh boy, pre-snap stuff is not good. And also, we need to work on tackling. And we're going to talk more about tackling in just a minute. We need a bunch of perimeter blocking. We need a bunch of work pre-snap. We need a bunch of crowd noise work. Overall sloppy day on both sides. We didn't look like a veteran team. Those are the little picture things, guys. Those are the little things that they're focusing on that in turn sort of like grow into big picture things. You can't just leave every scrimmage, going like, flying high just because you scored some touchdowns. There's going to be some things that need to be corrected. And the good thing is it's not necessarily like we couldn't block anybody. We couldn't get open. We couldn't cover anybody. We're not talented enough. It's not those type things. It's operation stuff. It's pre-snap mistakes, tackling, emotional consistency, handling crowd noise. Those things are, in theory, correctable. It's when you lack talent in areas, when you can't function, that's where you're like, oh boy, this is going to be rough. We got to rechange. We got to reevaluate the whole game plan. So I think the question that we all ask each other, out of the first scrimmage, is this concerning or is this kind of what you want revealed? And I lean towards the latter. When you have your first scrimmage, you don't want the revealing to be that you're behind from a talent perspective. What you want revealed is, okay, we clearly have some issues with communication on the offensive line, between the offensive line and the quarterback as far as pre-snap stuff. We got to get that cleaned up. We clearly let the moment sometimes get too big for us. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to rep the pressure moments. We're going to rep those, those whatever, if it's crowd noise, if it's, red zone, whatever it is that's crunch time, we're going to rep that more. That's what you want to me. And I'll say this too. That also shows it's a very good scrimmage from a setup standpoint. The way the plan was put together, it either reveals or exposes. And it exposed some things that need to be addressed. That means that whoever set that up from a game plan perspective, from all those situations, A+. You still got another scrimmage. We're 3 weeks away from playing. And if these are the biggest problems, these little things, if these are the biggest problems, sure, we have some PTSD on hearing that these are the issues because we felt like a lot of those were the issues before, but we're addressing them and putting a plan in place with 3 weeks before week 1. We're not going into a game and discovering that these are an issue. We're not going into week 3 or when we go to Tennessee in week 5, we're not going week 5 and realizing, dang, I tell you what, we just can't handle crowd noise. They're working on it now. That's big. You can't look like this week 1, but you have figured out in game scenarios the items that can help, that can create a potential for a loss week 1. And now you got 3 weeks to fix them. I love it. It's good stuff. We're going to talk about tackling here in just a second. But before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to the PTAC, Precision Tune Auto Care, and Opelika. Beat the Heat still going on. Free AC performance evaluation, free system pressure test, free vent temperature analysis, all that to make sure your AC is running tip-top shape. And then if there's any repairs over $300, you get to take $50 off. You get that $50 oil change between 7 and 9, Monday through Friday. Can't beat it, guys. You can trust You get the 360 inspection every single time you go in there. Just can't beat them. At the corner of Veterans Parkway and Pepperell Parkway in Opelika, hit them up. It's Precision Tune Auto Care, and then buyauburn.com. Be who you say you are. Do business with Auburn people everywhere. If you're an Auburn business owner, it's less than $1 per day to list your business, and it gets broadcasted to tons of Auburn fans. And then Auburn fans, if you're going to start a buying process or search for a service, the only way you can guarantee it's going to be started with an Auburn person is by going to buyauburn.com. Let's help each other out. Let's do business with Auburn people. It's buyauburn.com. If you need a good real estate, on that note, if you need a good real estate agent in the Auburn, Opelika area, hit me up. It's Kyle Rush with Keller Williams, Kyle Rush at kw.com. I'd love to help you, whether it's buying, building, selling, or investing. I'd love to help you and your family out. We'll be back right after this. Let's talk tackling. He thought tackling was really, really bad. And there was there's two examples that I can point to that I feel like he might be talking about. Number one, we've all seen the long Jeremiah Cobb touchdown run that Auburn posted on social media, and he broke a lot of tackles. It was a very physical run, which is great to see. But on the defensive side, hey, what are we doing? This is the defense. That's what we're known for, is getting dudes on the ground. So you got that one, and then I think there was a long catch and touchdown run from Keyshawn Singleton where he broke a couple of tackles as well. And again, those are small things that you can point to to say, hey, in 3 weeks, we got to get that cleaned up. That can't be happening, week one of the season. Obviously somebody asked him about the philosophy of live tackling, because coaches during practice, because coaches have to balance that, man. Like you can't, it's like a nightmare scenario thinking about, okay, I know they got to be ready to tackle, but dang, I can't get anybody hurt. And it can be hurt on both sides. It's not just hurting the offense. It's defensive guys. You dive on a guy, you fall on your wrist, your shoulder. How many defensive guys have shoulder issues all the time? That's a balance too. Golesh says, I'm leaving the scrimmage today, and I'm telling you that I'm all in when it comes to tackling more. Because I think he said they've only had like maybe one. I think he said this was the second time they've had to tackle. And that's talking about like full tackle all the way down to the ground. Yeah, Golesh, admits there's only been one real tackle before this scrimmage, and today they tackled only okay at best, was his words. It's necessary. I don't know what the right balance is, and I don't know how you handle that. I don't know if you do like a period a day where it's one-on-one tackling. And the good thing is that if you do that, this offense will get guys in space. And tackling guys in space is probably the toughest job out there, because it's just you on an island. And I don't know how you rep that. I don't even know how any team reps that enough to where week one you feel good, you feel good about it. The roster's so different than it was, 10, 15 years ago when you could just go out there and kill each other. And now you've got millions of dollars invested into players. I know that makes people roll their eyes, but it's reality. It's tough. Getting them to the game healthy is a win, but at what expense? What good is getting everybody to week one healthy if, when you actually get there, they don't really feel comfortable tackling in space? It's a tricky balance. So I would expect them to have much more, I don't want to say physical, but like a lot more tackling going on over the next 3 weeks. Golesh said said he's all in. Along those lines of, running out of time and putting focus on the next few weeks, getting ready to, play that game one, and then the coaches feeling comfortable with you. He made a lot of mention to young wide receivers, talking about the team. We're talking about the team as a whole needing to mature. He mentioned 3 wide receivers that, hey, the clock's running out on week one. The first one you mentioned was Sam Turner. He said that, obviously he's been out a lot and he's still learning because of how much time he's missed. And here's one of his quotes. He says, every day you see something happen where you're like, okay, Sam's got a shot to help us. And then you see something happen when you're like, man, he's got a long way to go. Golesh he said he's smart, he's tough, but he's still learning how to operate within the system. That doesn't scream, I'm super duper comfortable with you. We've seen Sam over the course of fall camp progress at least to where he might be in consideration for being like one of the true backups on, like, if you had to have a rotation of outside wide receivers. And I guess we'll call, for this particular exercise, we'd call Chaz Nimrod an outside guy. You got your first 3, Keyshawn Singleton, Jeremiah Coger, Chaz Nimrod. Brian Williams Jr., who we're going to talk about in a minute, seems to be right there in that mix. And then it could be Sam. So you're talking about, maybe even a coin flip right there at 4 and 5 on that outside wide receiver. And then if Chaz is, for whatever reason, for this particular game or whatever, working more in the slot, then boom, that kind of bumps you up the ladder a little bit more. He needs more time. He's been injured. He missed the whole spring. Needs a little bit more time, and time is kind of running out. And we're going to get to that in just a second. Deshaun Spencer, look, very, very happy with Deshaun through the first 7 days is what Golesh says. He's had some freshman moments, but he's also had some really good moments. He's a really tough person to tackle. He's only gotten 3 opportunities with the ball, and Golesh said he did a great job every single time that he got him. You want to hear that about a young skill player, that they're able to, be a tough tackle, because that means they're thinking beyond just catch the ball, remember the play and catch the ball. They're already beyond that part of it, and it's like, okay, now I've got to go be an athlete. So we'll see where he progresses. It may be wrong I know he was a part of this conversation. It may be really wrong to lump him into this, because I think he's ahead of where these other guys are. But even Deshaun Spencer, hey, if I don't feel comfortable and I can't depend on you, you're not going to get the ball. Brian Williams Jr., he mentioned that the day prior, he felt like he had his best practice of the whole fall camp. He's been really, really tough on Brian Williams Jr. too. A lot of one-on-one coaching from the periods that we've seen, which to me shows how important he thinks he is. And hey, look, he's probably the most physically impressive wide receiver, on the roster, and he's a true freshman. Smooth runner, run very smooth in and out of breaks. He said he did some good things in the scrimmage, but then he also had a penalty for not being lined up correctly. And that's like the stuff you're talking about when you're talking about the small picture things. And that kind of ties back to what we talked about at the beginning. A lot of times the talent's not the issue. It's operating correctly so we can play fast. And then Golesh says those guys need to take a giant step this week. Week 1 is not going to be a great week to grow up. They're going to have to grow up here in the next week before we trust them to go into the game. There you go. You can talk about all the highlight stuff you want. Until we trust you, it's going to be tough to put you in the game, and the clock's running out. It's not like, hey, you got 3 weeks to figure it out. No, you got right now. I want just kind of all this kind of goes back to what we talked about in the first segment. This first scrimmage wasn't really a talent test, and I think it kind of opened their eyes to say, hey, we got the guys. We can compete. It wasn't a talent test. It was a maturity test. It was a little things test. It was a veteran, like, are we playing at a veteran level test? I'm sure Golesh saw plenty to be encouraged, but also saw a lot of things, and he addressed a lot of those things that they got to clean up, and they got to clean up right now if you're going to be a successful team. They don't need to become more talented over the next couple of weeks. They just need to become more dependable. And I think that's the message that I got out of this scrimmage. Guys, let me know what you think. I really appreciate y'all tuning in. We will talk again more about this as the week goes on. Got a scrimmage on Wednesday. Got a practice viewing period tomorrow. So a lot of content coming your way. Make sure you're subscribed, hit that premium subscription. You'll get all kind of stuff. The most bang for your buck, I think, of a premium subscription anywhere as far as premium content goes. Y'all take it easy. We'll talk again soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.